had a vote for against that.
Good morning and welcome to the Paulding County Board of Commissioners March 25th, 2014 work session. I welcome all our invited guests and remind you to turn off all cell phones, Nextels, and pagers. Now, we've just got a room full of politicians today. If you would you please stand up and introduce yourself? Let's start, Kim, let's start with you right here on the front.
Good morning, I'm Kimberly Alexander, and I'm a state representative for District 66, which is part of Paulding County and Douglas County. Glad to be here. Good crowd.
Howard?
I'm Howard Maxwell, state representative, District 17, western part of Paulding County, pretty much.
Mayor?
Paulette.
Paulette?
I'm Paulette Raddick, and I'm the state representative for District 19.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm Micah Gramley, District 67, West Douglas County and South Paulding County.
Doris Stebbings, City of Highland Mayor.
Am I missing anybody? Thank you all for being here. It's a great day in Paulding County, a lot of exciting things happening. We'll dispense with the reading of the ordinance, and for our invocation and pledge, we have Pastor Rodney Carlson with Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, if you'll come forward. Now, if y'all haven't experienced their wild game dinner, it is absolutely fabulous. It was about 2 Fridays ago.
March 9th.
March 9th. A great evening. You would not believe how fast they can feed 500 people. It is amazing. For some great preaching and some great food, Pleasant Grove's the place to go. Now, will you stand with me if you're able?
That's right. My Father, my God, I come this morning and firstly praise you for your love for us, and Father, your mercy and your grace. And Father, now as these people are assembled here today, Father, we pray the blessings not only on this proceedings today, but Father, on this county. Father, we pray that you give the leaders of this county the wisdom, Father, to take us in the direction that you would have us to go. Father, we pray that we will always be mindful, Father, that the things we do and the actions we take should not only bring honor to ourselves and our character and our integrity, but most of all, Father, bring honor and glory to you. Father, again, we ask that you bless these proceedings, lead, guide them, direct them as you would have them to go. And Father, we praise you, we thank you, and we love you in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, thank you so much.
Since I'm not running the group, then I'll leave.
You're going to be running for the door, right? Minutes, March 11th, 2014 work session minutes and the March 11th, 2014 board meeting minutes are available for your review. Now, under announcements, I would like to, from the Board of Commissioners, would like to present the Boys and Girls Club proclamation to Wayne Glover and Keith Dixon. If y'all come forward and stand up here while I read this. Keith is one of my bodyguards. Stand right there. Boys and Girls Club, March 23rd through 29th, 2014. Whereas the young people of Paulding County, Georgia are tomorrow's leaders, and whereas many such young people need professional youth services to help them reach their full potential, and whereas the Paulding County Boys and Girls Club organizations provide services to 500 young people annually, and whereas the Boys and Girls Clubs are places where great futures start. They are the forefront of our efforts in academic success, healthy lifestyles, and character and citizenship. And whereas Boys and Girls Club organizations in our state help ensure that our young people keep off the streets, offering them a safe, supportive place to go, and providing them with quality programs. Whereas the Paulding County Boys and Girls Club will celebrate National Boys and Girls Club Week. Now, therefore, it be resolved that I, David A. Austin, Chairman of the Paulding County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim March 23rd through March 29th, 2014, at Boys and Girls Club Week in Paulding County, and call on the citizens to join me in recognizing and commending the Boys and Girls Club organization interstate for providing comprehensive, effective services to the young people in our community. Let's give them a standing ovation.
Just want to thank you guys. Thank you, Chairman Austin and the rest of the commissioners, and we really appreciate this and invite all of you guys to come out and visit the Boys and Girls Club, where we're trying to save lives and influence our youth. Looking forward to all of you continuing supporting the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm Wayne Glover, and I'm Director of Commercial Marketing with Greystone Power and Chairman of the Board for the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you very much.
Do y'all have any kind of I know I've been to your fish fries and various other things. Do y'all have anything coming up anytime?
We're presently working on our golf tournament, so all you golfers and friends of golfers, please support that. And Kiwi is working on several other fundraisers with the fish fry. So when that happens, we'll be calling you. So please step up to the table with us and assist us. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Excuse me, I've got one question.
Sure.
How long have you been here in the county with the Boys and Girls Club? A long time you've been with them.
Summer of '96.
Wow, okay. I need to know one, so.
Thank you very much. If I could, I'd like to have Karen Robinson, Region 1 EMS Director of the Year. Chief, is anybody going to have anything else to say? I want her to stand up here in front of everyone. You got your vote for it now. Karen just won at the 2014 awards banquet the Stanley Payne Memorial Region 1 EMS Director of the Year. So it's a fabulous award. It's not given out lightly, and I believe they're going to have that banquet, which they've never done before, in Paulding County.
Yes, we're planning
next
for
year.
next year.
Fantastic. Chief?
I just want to say that we appreciate Karen and everything she's done. She did the coordination and the transfer from Clark Ambulance to Metro with us. She was with Clark for years, and now she's the director for Metro, and she does a good job and works with our department very well. We appreciate Karen and everything she does.
Thank you, Karen. If I could have our legislative delegation come to the lectern, I believe we want to talk about, on the governor's desk, it is a funds for a new driver's license facility here in Paulding, and they were responsible for bringing this here. Charlie Watts, if you come up with them, Charlie does some lobbying down there for us, and Charlie, we appreciate what you do to bring things to the forefront for Paulding County. And this is a great day. If you were in one of our earlier meetings, we are getting ready to have a state patrol post here in Paulding County. And to kind of go hand in hand with that, the governor felt like it was time that a county the size of ours at 155,000 people no longer needed to leave the county to get a driver's license. So, Howard, are you the spokesperson for this group?
I'm the oldest of the bunch, other than Charlie, I guess. I'm considered the chairman of our delegation. But thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I was sitting there thinking, well, we go about our DDS. It seems like back in the, when I got my driver's license back in about '66, we could go over to the library. We had them coming up 2 times a week, I believe, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes if we get a DDS, it'd come up, and they probably did that for 15 years or more, maybe a little longer, but you could go to the library and get your driver's license. I believe that's where I got mine back about 1966. And then about probably 15, 18 years ago, they quit doing that. And for the rest of these years, we've had to go to either Polk County, Bartow County, Cobb County, and for a while, I think Villa Rica, I'm not sure you still do it down there. I had to get my license renewed back in November for this year. I went to Polk County, got up there, bad day, the day after Veterans Day. Everybody was lined up. I saw about 40 people from Paulding County standing in line out there. They had 6 computers, 4 of them were down. It took me 2.5 hours to get my driver's license. And right after that, thank God, I got a phone call saying, we're trying to get some work done. We've done some investigation, we've done some checking. We got a proposal to put a BDS service in Paulding County. And I said, well, what do we need to do? So we need to get the government to put a little money in the budget. I said, well, let's do that. So Charlie and I got together, and on behalf of the delegation, we went down and met with the governor back last November. We knew if we could get the governor to put it in his budget, we had the friends in the House and the Senate that would be in there. So we met with the governor back in November on behalf of the delegation and people of Paulding County, and we told him, so now we can get everybody in Paulding County, Governor, if you want us to bring you down here, we can bring you a room full of folks, we can fill this place up. But here's what we need. We've got 155,000 people in Paulding County, largest county in the state without our own driver's license services. We need it. And I said, we'll promise you this. If you can get us the money in the budget, we will have something better than 2 double wides that Polk County's got. So bottom line, he's took $1.19 million, and I've been holding this thing. It came out back in first day of session. We got the governor's budget. It was in there, bond number 84, provides $1,190,000 in 20-year bonds for the design and construction of a driver services facility in Paulding County. So it stayed in there all the way through. The governor put it in like he said, and it's in there. So as soon as we can get started, the county is going to provide some land here around the courthouse. This little spot of property right here is going to get even more busy, it looks like. But I'm proud we're getting that. We deserve it, we need it, and these people are beating me up. When I was up in Polk County in November, I was getting tore up with some of our friends said, what are we doing up here? Why are we having to come to Polk County so we're going to drive? We need our own. So working on it, Chief, working on it. So hopefully we got it done. Thank y'all for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you for the delegation here. Thank you for
That's a great job. Thank you very much. Scott, if you got a second, you'll go to the lectern. Scott had some exciting news this week about Highway 92.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you asked me to come up here. Yes, as you all know, we have been working for decades, as all of our delegation knows, to see Highway 92 widen. And we have partnered with Douglasville and Georgia DOT to put money into traffic studies and environmental work down for the bypass around Douglasville, which is, our route to the interstate for a lot of folks traveling outside the county to work. And I just want to let you know, Friday, Georgia DOT has advertised that project for bids. As a tremendous milestone to actually see something in writing that we're taking bids for a major project. It is a huge project, and it is, as you can imagine, getting around Douglasville. We've got to cross the tracks and get under the tracks, actually, and widen the parallel roads. It's a cross-country route. It actually cuts off distance as well as avoiding the downtown congested area. And we're really excited to see it come out, and we're hopeful we'll see some good bids in that. It'll get underway in just a few months.
And the other portion of that is right-of-way acquisition from between Douglasville and Hiram, correct?
Yes, and those were a companion project working all the way up to just south of Hiram. At the same time, we got the announcement that they were going to put the project out for bids in Douglasville. They announced they were going to begin or authorize the right-of-way acquisition all the way up to Hiram. So that is definitely some good news also, and then some relief for those folks that have been waiting, the homes along those routes. They don't know what's going to happen to their homes or when, and they've been waiting for many years to find out what their destiny was with buyouts or whatever, and it's coming also. So that's also great news.
Great news this week. Super.
Thank you.
Also, exciting, probably one of the best weekends we've ever had is the Wellstar ribbon cutting. They had 6,500 people that toured the hospital, and they had over 10,000 people that were in attendance. It was an an all-day event. It started about 8 in the morning and went to about 11 o'clock that night with fireworks. So we are blessed to have this facility in Paulding County. Also, we got some great news this week that the film studio has been rented, and it's a talent show type show, and it's the creators of The Biggest Loser and The Face that will be here. So, not sure exactly, but it has something to do with talent. I don't really see any talent sitting there. But it should be exciting. So, great news this week. And, thank you all. Thank you, Scott, for your hard work there. There are no invited guests. Bid awards. Number 1, discuss action to award the low bidder, C.W. Matthews Contracting Company Incorporated, the Bill Carruth Parkway Widening Reconstruction Phase 2 project in the amount of $12,321,165.81.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Scott and I are going to go back and forth with these. But on March 7th, we received 2 bids for this project, and we are recommending award to the low bidder, C.W. Matthews, in the amount of $12,321,165.81. This project consists of 2.95 miles of grading, drainage, base, and paving for the 4-lane widening on Bill Creek Parkway and the Asphalt Bridge.
It's paid for with SPOS money.
It is paid for with SPOS money.
And it'll be, in other words, your cash flow plan is based, it's like a 2.5 year construction period.
That's correct. And
And
it's
so-
going to use the majority of the SPOS proceeds for that 2-year period.
You have a 4-lane that comes off of 278 right at the hospital, and then it goes down to, I guess, the railroad bridge, and then you have a 2-lane that carries you down to the new intersection that's all 4 lanes. So the 2.9 that you're talking about is that area that has been 2-lane that will go to 4-lane, correct?
That's correct. It's the remaining 2-lane portion of Bill Creek Parkway. Under the last splosh we did, we only had enough money remaining to continue the project down to the railroad, and we have that merged there. The next section, south of the railroad down to Hiram City Road, is our heaviest traveled 2-lane road in the county. And so the urgency and the need is still there, and we think that connectivity is going to really do good things for economic development along that route, as well as providing relief when Highway 278 is blocked by a crash or something like that. I also wanted to add that this is our largest SPOS project ever. It is rather ambitious. It fits in perfectly with our experience off of the East Hiram Parkway, building a major route, 4-lane road with multiple bridges. It's a very similar road, very similar length. The difference is we're just adding 2 lanes and a median, and those 2 lanes and median will be added to the Hiram side of that road. So most of that work will be done beside traffic, not directly in traffic. So we will be conscious of that to minimize inconveniences to the public. Also, I wanted to add that we have a good bid. Even though there were 2 bidders, there were a lot of interested bidders pursuing the work. Ultimately, only 2 met the deadline for the bids, and we have a very good contractor that's going to do the work for us. So we're excited to get this going with your approval. Thank you.
The length of time is because of the bridge. Is that one of the issues? Of course, I know you got to coordinate with the railroad. You got to dealing with them is different.
That's correct. We're looking at a 1.5 years of involvement just with the railroad crossing. The overall project is 2 years from notice to proceed. We expect them to be underway by May at the latest, and then we'll be looking to complete the work in May of 2016.
And you'll be able, and we will actually level out the intersection where it crosses, or make it a better intersection where it crosses Hiram City. Also, correct?
That's
So it's not-
correct.
It's not a road jump.
When the 2-lane alternative for Highway 92 was built, Hiram City was the heavier traveled road, and the road sort of met at Hiram City and didn't really provide for that continuation of traffic. So we're going to bring that intersection down and make that entire road flow better with that.
Is there a separate bridge for the Silver Comet Trail?
The Silver Comet Bridge was widened with the last segment, and so we're coming right off that existing 4-lane bridge over Silver Comet, and we're we're widening the next bridge south, which is the one that covers both the railroad and crosses over the creek to the south there. So there's no separate for Silver Common. Now, we are working on a recreation trail to cross Silver Common beside the road there, which could involve a bridge. Thank you.
Have a busy year this year.
Sir.
Thanks, Scott.
Number 2, discuss action to award the low bidder C.W. Matthews Contracting Company Incorporated fiscal year 2014 asphalt contract 1 in the amount of $1,836,731.71.
This is the project that the state also assists us with, called LMIG through the DOT. This year, we've received $1,247,939.81 to go towards this project. And we have a low bidder, C.W. Matthews, in the amount of $1,836,731.71. Leaves us with a gap, which will be absorbed in the DOT's general fund budget.
Which was already planned.
Yes. And Scott, you want to do that
Just a couple things to add to that. Yes, we did receive that amount of 1.2 million, but this program requires that we match 30% additional in funding. So we have to put money into this project, and what we're doing as far as our contribution is patching and some of the prep work. And then on 2 of the roads, Mount Tabor Church and on Friendship Church, we're adding a 2-foot paved safety shoulder alongside the road. So that'll give some benefit to minimize drop-offs and that kind of thing with traffic. Again, we've got a very good contractor, and the bid came in as expected. The trend is upward, though. I would let y'all know we're starting to see some of these bids come in a little bit above our estimates, whereas in the past several years, we've seen most bids come in under estimate. I think that's the trend we're going to continue to see for a little while here. But I appreciate it if you could approve this project for us. Thank you.
Any discussion questions? Thank you. Thank you. Number 3, discuss action to award the low bidder C.W. Matthews Contracting Company Incorporated fiscal year 2014 asphalt contract 2 in the amount of $4,858,010.77.
Again, we also had 2 bidders participate in this project as well. These will be funded by the bonds that were issued in October, $4.5 million. We had, going into the budget last year, we put $3 million into the infrastructure task force.
300,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 300,000. Too many big numbers this morning. 300,000, that will be used towards this project as well, and then the remaining 58,000 will be absorbed in DOT's general fund budget.
Okay, and the bonds will be paid back, up to 70% we're estimating from the project improvement fees, which are added to these, the unbuilt lots that are in the county.
Yes, sir, that is one.
I believe when we look at these bonds, you could wait over a 10-year period for money to throw in the general budget, and the deterioration of the roads would far exceed. So we're estimating approximately, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Scott, but approximately a $5 million savings by doing the projects now and saving the roads where we have them, rather than waiting 10 years.
Easily so. Yeah, this is also DOT's recommendation. As we know, if we lose that next 2 inches of asphalt just through deterioration, we're going to be putting 3.5 inches of asphalt in all these developments that are part of the county system, instead of just an inch or an inch and a quarter as we are on this project. So the urgency is there, and I think it was a good recommendation from the task force that came out. And we're excited to get this work underway. It does cover 43 miles of paving in 55 developments to complete those developments. It is a large contract, and we also have a familiar bidder here, C.W. Matthews. They're one of the largest contractors, if not the largest in the state. And frankly, some of the asphalt work we've seen from some of the bidders in the past has not been up to the standard that we typically see from C.W. Matthews. So we're very, very pleased that we have a good contractor for all three of these projects. And they're anxious to get underway. In fact, they're ready to start like next week. So we're gonna get that work going with your approval.
With these roads being done and the other roads that you have planned, how many miles are we gonna be able to cover this year?
We're probably just another 10 miles or so overall in paving with our in-house crews. What we're doing is contracting out these larger projects, and then we're using our in-house crews on some of the lesser traveled roads so that we don't need so much traffic control, and requires a lot more labor than what we have right now. So I will be discussing the other roads we're paving with y'all in the near future as we're wrapping up our recommendations for the balance of our current year's budget.
So we'll be repaving 55 to 60 miles of road this year.
That's correct.
With this one.
With the bond and then with our existing general fund.
Who were the other bidders that were on time?
We had DER Snell was the second bidder on all three of these. We had a third bidder who missed the deadline just by a few minutes. Unfortunately, that was Baldwin. They went after it, and I guess on the side they said they would not have won any of these, and they said that we have good bids in their opinion. That's from a competing contractor. If you want to take that, you can. I trust that it's probably correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Reports from committees and departments, Dave Mumford with Paulding County 911 update.
Good morning. I'm going to continue with the good news for this week. We're rolling out a couple of new projects that we've been working on for the better part of the year, and it's pretty exciting news. The first one is text to 911. This is we're going to be the first 911 center in Georgia that will actually be able to receive a text message in lieu of a voice call if you have an emergency. And we'll roll this out on April 1st. About 2 years ago, the FCC entered into an agreement with the 4 major wireless providers that they would provide an interim solution for the hearing impaired, speech impaired, and folks who otherwise could not make a voice call to 911 to be able to send a text by mid-2014. And Verizon Wireless was the first provider to roll this out, and they made it available around the first of the year, and we're the first adopter in Georgia. So it'll be only for Verizon Wireless customers, but they will actually be able to put 911 into the recipient box of your text message, press send, and it'll be delivered to the 911 center. As long as you're within Paulding County and you get a cell tower that's directed into the county. We're not promoting this as a replacement for voice calls, because as you well know, text messaging is not as reliable as voice. You know, that text message can be delivered in 30 seconds or it could be delivered in 10 minutes. I mean, it's just not as reliable as a voice call. However, when you can't make a voice call, this is the next best thing. And so for the hearing impaired, for the speech impaired, for a person who's trapped in their closet during a burglary, a victim of a domestic who can't make a voice call because the suspect's in the other room, they now have a way to contact 911 center. It comes in on a dedicated line just like a 911 call, and it is handled by our operator just like a voice call. And we can send text messages back and forth. We do want to make sure that the public knows it is for general, and anybody can use it, but we are only promoting it under limited circumstances. We don't want to get away from voice calls because they're still the most responsible way of calling. It is only for emergencies. We won't handle non-emergency calls on the text system. So if we get a non-emergency text, we're going to have them call our non-emergency line. It's just like a 911 line. It's for emergencies only. Our motto for this is the nationwide motto. It's call if you can and text if you can't. And that's how we're going to promote this to the public.
Say that one more time.
Call if you can and text if you can't. And that's exactly how we want to roll this out. And we want everyone to know that it's available, but it's a last ditch if you can't call 911 any other way. That's how we're going to roll this out. So most likely the other carriers, this is Verizon only, so the other carriers will be available probably in mid-2014, June or July. And we expect that other 911 centers around us will start rolling this technology out fairly shortly. Once they do, then we'll be able to actually transfer text calls to them just like we do a 911 call. In the meantime, we have policies in place that if we receive a text call from surrounding county, we'll go ahead and process it. And if they can't make a voice call, we'll make voice contact with that PSAP, and we'll relay the information to them so that there's no break in in the emergency processing cycle, so we'll make sure that stays intact. We do have a public service announcement, and Jody and I were having some issues with the sound earlier, but I'll try and show you what we're going to do on Channel 23. I would ask that you ignore the male actor lead role in this and just focus on what's the message.
Paulding County E911 is an early adopter of SMS 911, commonly known as text to 911.
This is what the screen will look like on our side.
M911 is a web-based service that allows CSAP call takers to communicate with reporting parties who are texting 911.
GIM 911 enables two-way texting with wireless subscribers. It allows any call taker at a CSAP to participate in any new or established texting session at the CSAP.
Thanks to Jody, I don't know if she's in the room, but Jody and Jeff.
She's back there
in the other room.
Yes.
Jody and Jeff did the production on this. They did a great job. They came out and we, of course, to get that 30-second spot, they had to film me talking for about an hour or so.
It's the actors.
You know, it's true. But we're very happy to roll this out. This is a huge step forward for our hearing impaired and our speech impaired communities. Normally, they would have contacted 911 through a TED, which is a telecommunications device for the deaf, or through a relay service. Now, text is the preferred communications for hearing impaired and speech impaired community, and now they'll be able to text emergency calls to us. So it's a very important step forward. The next thing that I'd like to tell you about is our SafeTown website. We don't have the public service announcement, but we've been working on that for about a year now. SafeTown is a website that will is linked back to our 911 center. The web address is pauldingga.safetown.org. And if you go to that website, you can browse and see what SafeTown's all about. But what it lets you do is that you can go in and you can set up a community, a household profile. And in that profile, you can upload photographs of your family, medical information, pictures of your house. You can upload profiles even for your pets. And when we get a 911 call from your home phone number or your cell phone number, that information is presented to our call takers. A little button lights up on our screen and tells us there's information available. And when we bring that information up, we can then relay that to the responders. So if you can imagine a situation where we're responding to a structure fire and we have information that tells us there's a bedridden patient in the house, we have that ahead of time and the responders will know about it before they arrive on scene. If you have an autistic child, there's countless ways that information that you can put in these profiles that we can then, Alzheimer's patients, medical information that we can relay to responders before they get there. You can also put the photographs of your family members, and we've had several instances where people have been out of town and someone has been at their house, and when the officers got there, they have no idea whether the person's a resident or not. And in this case, we can have actually photographs of who belongs in the house that we can get out to the responders. So you can go to SafeTown, pauldingga.safetown.org, and fill out the community profile, or your household profile. And there's another section of that website called Community Alerts. And the Community Alerts is a map that displays active calls for service as they are dispatched and as they are closed. And when we dispatch a call for service, it pops up on the map with the details of the call. And then when we close it, the call goes away. And we have certain calls that are posted. So if you want to know what the traffic's like, if there's any accidents on the route that you're planning to go, you can look up there and see if there's any accidents on the map that have been displayed. We don't display our priority 1 call, so we won't display armed robberies in progress and such as that, but we don't want to give clues that we're on our way. But we do display the priority 3 calls, the lower priority calls, which affect traffic and general movement around the county.
In those community alerts, is that include Amber?
The Amber Alert is separate. This is straight off of our CAD system. If we enter a missing child, then it will show up on that map. But it's totally different from an Amber Alert. This is local, just for Paulding County. It's what we put into our CAD system and our responders dispatch to every day. So you can go back and look at the last 24 hours of local information, and you can see where the fires and medical calls and stuff like that were. But
this is at pauldingga.safetown.org.
Yes, sir. pauldingga.safetown.org. And that service will expand as we're just now rolling it out, so, it'll grow and we'll have other apps available as it expands, but right now we're using those 2 apps. We've been about a year getting this thing ready to move out, and it's been active now for about a month, and we're finally, making it public for people to go in and put their profile in.
I don't know if you know it or not, but David has been honored in the state, and he leads a lot of seminars in 911, so you've been recognized and appreciated, so we thank you tremendous amount. Any other questions for David? Great job. Next, we have the steering committee for creation of framework for the Industrial Building Authority and for the Airport Authority. David Barnett's come to me, Tommy, Todd, and Dave Carmichael with concerns. We've had legislation, legislators here. They've implemented this in 1962, and then the Airport Authority in 1972. And it's time for steering committee to take a look at this. We've come up with some framework, and we could tweak this some today. Mike Jones, would you talk to us a little bit about what we're looking at?
Yes, sir. The proposal, and it is just a proposal to you, it's a starting point to create 2 steering committees. And they're citizen steering committees. One for the Industrial Building Authority that the General Assembly created in 1962, and one for the Airport Authority that was created a decade later. It's actually quite appropriate that we have so many members of the General Assembly here. Many of the actions that are conducted by these 2 authorities are outside the control of the Board of Commissioners, as you well know. Though their actions are outside of the control of the authority, the reaction is in your house, usually, as demonstrated by the size of the crowd that's behind me and has been for many months. What we would like to see happen, this is a commissioner's citizen steering committee. This is not Mike Jones's idea. This is not the idea of any of these board members. But what I've put together is what I've heard you say over the last several months. These are some of the ongoing comments that I've gotten from you, some of the comments that many of you have made in public. And I put them all on one piece of paper. And again, as the chairman alluded to, it's a starting point. I had the privilege of sitting down with Commissioner Barnett last week. We went through this. We put together a framework. I contacted Commissioner Graham, talked to him about it. Chairman, you and I talked about this. And the consensus idea was put it on a piece of paper and let's talk about it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through this framework, and I'll be happy to serve as your facilitator. So whether you have comments today, I'll write them down today. If you want to email them to me throughout the week, email them throughout the week. But I did want to take an opportunity to walk you through this, and then we can just react to it.
I think what I'd like to see happen, and of course it's on the sheet here, is for the Industrial Building Authority to be co-chaired by David Barnett and Tommy Graham, and for the Airport Authority to be co-chaired by Todd Bownell and Dave Carmichael. The airport's in Todd's territory, and Dave is an aviator, so I think that works great for us.
And I think when you say co-chaired, it's not that the commissioners would tell the committee what they want to accomplish, but they're strictly to listen and to keep the conversation moving.
And they would be there as non-voting members.
So what this would look like is you would have citizen appointments for this board. So each commissioner, again, this is not in stone, each commissioner would have a citizen appointment to this steering committee. As you know, these current IBA and Airport Authority boards have appointments by the commission, appointments by each of the 2 cities, and appointment by the Chamber of Commerce. And the citizen appointments would look very similar. Each one of the commissioners would have an appointment, each of the 2 mayors would have an appointment, and there would be an appointment by the Chamber of Commerce. But there are some conditions on those appointments, and I'd like to read those. A condition of appointment is a member does not currently serve on any county, city, or chamber of commerce board. This person shall not be an elected official. This person shall not be actively seeking an elected office. This person shall not be engaged in litigation against the county, the cities, or the chamber of commerce. But the citizen must be a member and a citizen of Paulding County. As Commissioner Graham just pointed out, the role of the steering committee coordinators, which will be post-commissioners, is there to guide the process, to arrange and conduct those working meetings, facilitate the discussion, disseminate whatever requested information that these citizen members have, and record those recommendations to the steering committee. In order to affect change on either one of these authorities, you have to get those recommendations in, you have to get them into a working document, and that working document must reach our General Assembly members well in advance of the next session so that any changes that you choose to have made can be made. And that's it. That is, in and of itself, it's a very simple framework, and it's, again, it's a place to start.
I think we need to set a date when we'd like to have these committees in place.
I think it would be very important, if this is a framework that you want to move forward with, for you to begin thinking about who these appointments might be. And I'd be happy to email both of the mayors and the Chamber of Commerce and have them start thinking about who they might like to appoint to this. I'd be happy to put something together that can appear on your next agenda so you could formally create these steering committee members and then task them how you choose to provide you a schedule to move forward.
Representative Maxwell has stated that he would help educate and orient the committees also, or orientate the committees as to the history of the legislation. So I appreciate that, Representative Maxwell.
One thing, of course, what you mentioned is legislative changes, but I would think that you would want this committee to look at operational changes as well. And one point being, if you look at, of course, one was created in 1962, which is a constitutional organization, which is the IBA. And of course, the Airport Authority was created in 1974, which is the legislative. So there's a difference. Prior to, 2000, and the administration of Jerry Sheridan, of course, the Airport Authority was really inactive. The IBA functioned with the Chamber of Commerce. And if you look at the appointment of it, it was that way. But somewhere in there, in Jerry's term, the two organizations got, in essence, joined at the heel. Because you can't separate them. I mean, you got an overlapping executive director, which Blake and I have talked about this, and I told him 2 years ago, there comes a day that you can't be both. So I would like the committee to look at operationally how they operate. And you're correct that a lot of their decisions are outside of our direct control. For instance, the Airport Authority has the authority to contract with Profella Investments for the commercialization of the airport. We don't have a vote on that. What we do have a vote on, however, is because the county has an airport department, and it funds that airport department, and the county spends approximately $350,000 a year on the airport department, yet the airport, it has no control of. Things that how these organizations operate, because you got to look at their funding. Where does their money come from? So it's not just, I would like them to look at not just legislative changes, but operational changes of how they function.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, because I actually sat down like Friday, we spoke, everything's everything, we're gonna work on this.
If you remember, the IBA was formed when we had a single commission chairman to assist that commissioner to bring in industry into the county. It's changed quite a bit since then, and we've seen the need to look at operations legislatively, and I'm excited about seeing what will come forward out of this committee. Are y'all in agreement to?
Oh, yeah, it's long time now.
No, agreement over here. Okay, thank you very much.
Looking forward to it.
There's no consent agenda, no old business under new business. Discuss action to approve the May 1st, 2014 employee benefits plan renewal. Brian Atkins.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate the opportunity to come to you today with the annual benefits renewal that's effective for May 1st, 2014. And I certainly wanted to introduce Gary Jacobs and Dave Easter here with us from J. Smith Premier. They are broker of record, help us coordinate our benefits offerings, as well as help us at this time of the year when we have to deal with renewals, deal with negotiations and so forth. It's no surprise to any of you that our employee benefits plan is a very valuable recruiting and retention tool. It's a big part of our total compensation package, and it's very important to the employees and the welfare of their families. I'd like to share with you something. We share this every year with the employees in the meetings, but this is a long-standing benefits philosophy that the Board of Commissioners has established. But the Paulding County Board of Commissioners' objective is to provide the best possible benefit program at the most appropriate cost for our employees. We have an important long-term objective of controlling costs so that we can continue to offer as broad an array of benefits as possible with as low cost to the employees as possible for as long as possible. And in that vein, it's my obligation, ongoing job to the board, the employees, taxpayers, to try and help us establish and maintain not only a comprehensive but competitive and cost-effective plan. And in that vein, working with our broker, I've also discussed with the county administrator and comptroller some of the issues that have come up with our renewal, and outlined in your packet a couple of things. I'll give you some brief highlights and then recommendations that we have. I would like to point out that, certainly the renewal is driven in part by claims. You can't get around claims. You can't make claims disappear and just say, give us lower rates even if we have high claims. We're talking about renewal rates. Claims come into the picture. That's one of the things where we rely very heavily on Gary to help us negotiate those things down, go toe-to-toe with underwriters, and question certain parts of the underwriting formula. They're very effective in doing that. In fact, I'll share something. I don't think I've ever even told Gary this. Our UHC rep said the problem with Gary and David, and this is a compliment, the problem with Gary and David is that when they come to us and try to negotiate a rate, they are able to negotiate based on valid arguments and fight the underwriting formulas. And those underwriting formulas will go with the underwriters, and when they're able to do that, the underwriters don't like it, but they are agreeable with rate reductions, as opposed to give us lower rates, we're going to run somewhere else. But they go toe-to-toe with them, they fight for us, and it's certainly reflected in our renewals. Just briefly, starting out gross renewal, we're sitting at about 1.4 million, just based on proposal, no plan changes. This is based on underwriting formulas and claims. Ultimately, we were able to, before any changes, get that down to 663,414, or 7.4%. You can see there that's about $750,000 worth of savings just through the negotiation process. I certainly want to attribute some of that to them. Looking at more specific coverage, you can see that increase is primarily on the medical side. And section B that I bulleted out for you, the negotiated was down to 606,720, a 6.2% increase. I'll discuss briefly in a minute. That's fully attributed to Affordable Care Act fees. I've got an outline of that in there for you as well. Other coverages, and of course the health coverage is the most expensive, but other coverages, on the dental coverage, we're looking at a 5% increase down from 9%, again based on a loss ratio in the high 70s. Employee independent life insurance, a 50% renewal, sounds huge, that's $27,000. I would like to make a clarification on that. This is where the claims issue becomes a problem. Quite unfortunately, we've had, relative to premium paid, we have had 127% death benefits paid to employees and their families through this policy. So seeing this increase here, it's a justifiable and understandable increase. And that's over, I believe, about a 5-year period. The loss ratio has been 125%. We also have our accidental death and dismemberment insurance with no change for the upcoming year. And on our disability, we're under a 0% renewal due to a 2-year agreement that we went into a couple of years ago. Having said all that, that's just kind of the background of the numbers. And then looking at issues as to what we need to do, trying to continue to be cost effective yet maintain a comprehensive plan. There was one area that we identified. We can actually delay, and this is a component of ACA, Affordable Care Act. We can delay prescription copays applying to out-of-pocket maxes until next year, May 1st, 2015. And what that does, it saves an additional $135,000. That does transfer that cost directly to the employee that is having that expense. They're incurring that expense. It's not distributed among everybody. The folks who are incurring that expense would be paying that. Yes, sir.
It's not an additional expense from what they are having now by delaying.
That's correct.
I mean, it's no more money, no more cost to the employee now. It just changes, delays a savings that they would. It's not going to cost them any more than they are today.
Plan design wise, it's the exact same thing it is for the previous 12 months. And you know, we can delay it till May 2015 because we have a pharmacy benefit manager. That's one of the provisions of Affordable Care Act, is that if you have that, you're able to delay that until March or May. The next plan year, which in our case is May 2015. In terms of other changes, we reviewed, particularly with, you know, we've dealt with issues over the last several years with the employees bearing burdens of increases, having salary increases, furloughs, and we've been trying to work to improve and enhance all those things. We would propose that we not have any other changes to the employee contributions, carriers, or plan designs. Ultimately, all this gets us down to a 5.9% renewal increase of $527,000. 5.9% renewal increase. The proposal would be to approve the plan as presented, maintaining the carriers. Really, the only change being delay the prescription copay applying to the out-of-pocket. And I would like to mention that, I guess over a 10-year period, we work very diligently on all this. It's not something we take lightly. I understand it is a significant expense. Over a 10-year period, we have had an average increase in our health plan of about 2.5%.
It's pretty amazing.
If any of you know anybody who's had a better record than that, please let me know. It is very significant. And of course, that is not by accident. It's by plan design, the things you don't implement the consumer-driven health plan, trying to inform and educate the employees, get them to understand the plans they have. And it's not perfect. Let us work. We're doing something right, and we're controlling those costs. And depending on who you want to talk to, average health inflation rate anywhere from 9 to 15% on average each year.
Questions?
I'll answer any questions if you have.
Go ahead. One thing that I want to make sure I understand, make sure the public understands, is of the $527,000 increase $471,000 was due to medical costs. Of that $471,000 in medical costs, $183,000 of it was due to a tax by Affordable Care Act upon us. $59,000, or roughly $60,000 of that, was due to a insurer fee, basically a tax that was taxed to United Healthcare, which what do? They pass it on to us. So we're paying for that. And then on top of that, $275,000 in coverage changes that was mandated according to the law. So all that adds up to $519,000. If it hadn't been for the Affordable Care Act, you would have had a reduction in medical costs. Is that correct?
You are correct. The math
But it's
doesn't add
gonna,
up.
we can keep our doctors and it's gonna save us money, right?
We'd still have the same claim, but yes, sir, that's a very, you caught the math on it. $527,000 is the proposed for all coverages, including the medical bill, and $471 is medical. The total ACA attributed factor is $520,000. So yes, absent that, it would have been a negative medical.
And these are not just trumped up things. I mean, these are line item
They're
charges that
line
are
items on
in
the
there.
proposal. Yep.
But our employees, Tom hit on a subject I was gonna hit on here. Our employees aren't gonna have to take this. Their premiums that they're paying are gonna be the same.
Yes,
throughout this year.
What we propose is basically that the board absorb this increase and that the existing biweekly deductions employees have continue at the rates they're comfortable with. We did do some increases on deductions, I think it was 2 years ago. And obviously that's always an option, but we want to be cautious about doing that.
And I agree, $527,000, it's gonna be an increase to us. I don't know what that would work out to, but about a 2.5% raise. I'm not sure, I may be wrong, Mike. But in other words, we're gonna eat that, they're not gonna have to pay for it, and I agree. And,
That is nice to do relative to some of the things you
Yes.
have to do for budget reductions in the last several years.
thanks for your work.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do have Gary and David here. If you have a question for them after the meeting, feel free to grab them. Appreciate their help as well.
Thank you. That's the conclusion of our regular business session. We do have executive session we will go into for litigation and personnel. That does get timely, and I know you folks need to leave, so if we still have citizens wishing to speak, we'll do that portion now, and then we'll go into executive session afterwards.
Chairman, if I could have just a few minutes.
Sure.
Been speaking to Mike about this for a while. Tommy knows about this. There's something I'd like for us to look at also, with the fire department and the sheriff's department. They have a state pension that they pay into every month. It's like $25 that they pay into to the state. Nothing, it's not county retirement, nothing like that. It's the state pension fund. But I'd like for us to look at that where we could pick that up for the firemen and the sheriffs, our deputies in the county.
Yeah, it's $25 a month, which
It goes, they get after they retire. So some of the firemen, I know some counties we've looked at, some counties are paying it, some are splitting it with them, and some counties are not doing it at all. But it's something I would like to do for our public safety guys, and the marshals would fall under the sheriff's department on this.
Both the fees exactly the same, $25 for sheriff's, $25 for fire, and then we're looking at how many.
Mike's got with Tabitha, we've ran numbers and.
Commissioner Barnett brought this to me, and here's the specifics of it. And the firefighter, it's called the Firefighter's Pension Fund. Their contribution is $25 a month. You're eligible at age 55 after some period of service, and the longer you're there, the greater the benefit. It would affect about 140 of our firefighters. And if you run those numbers, and we can do this however you'd like to do it, if you paid half the monthly fee for the firefighters, that would be about a $21,000 a year line item. That's what you'd be looking at. That would be half of their cost.
We have less than 50% of our deputies that.
Well, in the firefighters, about 90%, but you're absolutely right. On the sheriff's side, it's a little bit different. Their cost is $5 less. It's $20 per month. But Commissioner Barnett is correct. Their participation is well below what we'd like to see. It's 50% or less, according to the sheriff. Their benefit fund is called a Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund. Looking at how many folks would be eligible through the sheriff's office, detention center, and the marshal's office, we've got 210 officers. That moves a little bit. And again, we just ran it at 50%. If we split it, that number would be about $25,000 a year would cover them. These two departments are in a little bit of a different circumstance than most others. There are some jurisdictions that have mandatory retirement for these types of folks at age 55. They don't have the option to stay till 65. We don't have that policy in place, but this would give them a mechanism to start working toward retirement. The physical elements of their job come into question at age 55 and older, and that's not a knock against anybody over the age of 55, but you don't run like you used to. So, you know, the physical element is a factor. Their safety is a factor. The safety of the public is a factor. So this is one option that would allow them to work towards planning for retirement at age 55, or at least finding a supplemental source of income. I thought it was an excellent proposal. I appreciate Commissioner Barnett bringing that to me. We do know, I spoke with our finance director, Tabitha, to my left. We know that the fire tax proceeds can be used to fund the firefighters' portion. This would be viewed much like an insurance policy would, or their salary would. The proposal for the deputies would be a general fund expenditure. And we can explore it as deep as you'd like us to.
These are state-funded programs. The actual firefighters is funded through a tax or a fee on all insurance written on the state. That's where the majority of the money comes from.
I believe you're correct. I don't know the specifics about how those funds are operated or managed. The dollars that are being paid in it now, as Commissioner Barnett alluded to, it is 100% voluntary, and it is, in most cases, a draft out of that firefighter or police officer's own checking account. This is not something that we do payroll deduction on. And to take it a step further, there was an avenue to do a payroll deduction. I think you would see that participation increase even more.
Do they have to be a participant, if I understand this correctly, for us to pay their portion? Let's say they're not, you said 90% of fire and 50% of the sheriff. So if they're not participating, do we pay anything in for them, or only if they're?
I don't think you should. I think you help people that want to help themselves, and I think if they're willing to participate, I think it would be an excellent opportunity for you to help them. But if you're willing to do a portion of that and they're not willing to meet you, I'm not sure if that's something you want to move forward. Again, that's up to y'all. That's not 2 cents.
I think Representative Maxwell is actually chairman of the Fireman's Pension Fund committee that's run by the House also, which I think he's already left.
I think it's definitely something we need to look to
Well,
do. I mean, we need to do what we can do to help them all be involved.
Well, Alpharetta is Peach 5. You get Peach 5, you're done in Alpharetta. So, we've got some guys here in the county that have been in Fulton County, they retired at 46.
Right.
So.
Well, you really don't want any of us guys coming to the house to rescue you.
No, not Austin.
Not at all. I mean, no, I think it'd be great, and hopefully it would help out with some retention.
I think it's great, and on the fire side of this, does the fire board, are they in agreement with looking at this?
This is the first conversation we've had. I've spoken to the fire chief, Earwood, and their deputy chief, Pelfrey, and I spoke to the sheriff, but this is all pretty new. This is something that would go to our fire board, and if it's something y'all want to explore, then we'll have additional conversations with you.
I believe it's a consensus that that's where we want to go. Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Gotta help these guys out.
Citizens wishing to speak, Mr. Dennis Decker. Dennis is not coming?
Yeah, I'm right here. But Tom will speak for us.
Okay,
We'll make it easy on you.
Okay, we have Tom Morris, Rick O'Neill is not speaking. You're not speaking. Tom, Richard Smith is not speaking. Tom speaking.
So that doesn't mean you get 20 minutes, Tom. Make that sure.
Back to,
Okay.
I thought that's what you were going for. No.
not today. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm just here today at the meeting. We appreciate the opportunity to make a few comments. We were originally scheduled to be here to make some comments about a rezoning application for the New Georgia community. That was withdrawn yesterday, but we still wanted to make a few comments this morning. We appreciate all the support we've had from our community. Hundreds of people have supported us in our efforts to articulate the reasons that we should not have a rezoning in the New Georgia community. But we want to let you know that should that application be resubmitted later, many of us in the community, again hundreds, are prepared to speak out and articulate the reasons why that should not be approved. And we will do so before the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Commission. We have several people here from New Georgia today, so if you're here from New Georgia, or if you raise your hand, we would probably have 100 or so here today, and with a number of people already here, that would have presented a real problem. But again, we thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and we will follow your meetings very closely and be as supportive as we can, and hope you'll be supportive of us in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Ms. Kathy Helms.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's getting to be almost standard procedure.
Your voice is better this time.
Much better, thank you. And I haven't prepared a written speech. I'm talking to you as a citizen, as a voter, about some of the things that happened with Resolution 1408. I come from a military family. My father, my grandfather, my uncles all served in World War I, II, Korean War, Vietnam. My son spent 8 years as a jet engine mechanic during Operation Desert Storm on the USS Independence. I have a niece that's leaving to join the Coast Guard on April 3rd of this year. So very familiar with the military, support it very strongly. And I know the military wants to be a good neighbor because they care about people, they care about the citizens. In less than 4 hours, you guys jumped and took care of that and handled them being able to come back to the Paulding County Airport. That was awesome. Absolutely incredible that you did that in 4 hours. Yet, we've come here month after month after month to talk to you about what's going on. Do we matter? Does it really matter what we have to say? I know that you're capable of jumping and doing things. We left here and you left them with an understanding that you were going to be contacting the airport authority about a memorandum of understanding. I went to the airport meeting on March 19th, and they just kind of decided that they wanted to do each one individually, creating yet more mounds of paperwork, more stuff for us citizens have to do open records requests to see this. I have 2 of them here that were obtained through an open records request. One of them is not even dated. The IBA and the airport authority are not elected. We've heard stuff about them today. You are. You're the only way that the citizens have to voice what they're feeling. We elected you to represent us. When you sit on those boards, you are supposed to be representing the citizens on those boards. You're my voice as a citizen. The funding comes for all those boards, comes from the taxpayers, does it not? That's where we the taxpayers pay the funding. And we expect you to represent us on those boards, the airport authority and the industrial building authority. And I think there was some discussion that with the steering committee, which is phenomenal, I'm glad to hear that, Because yes, it does appear that the authorities have power over the Board of Commissioners and the citizens, of which we have very little input, the citizens. Without funding these authorities, they can't do anything. The money comes from us. Now let's talk a little bit about the airport and the commercialization. I understand, and I think that everybody here and most people understand, that all of the things that we're asking for as citizens and that you're asking for can be done with the general aviation airport. I don't understand the huge push for commercialization. We can bring in business, we can bring in jobs, we can have a very successful general aviation airport. I don't think many people would be opposed to that at all. I just don't understand the push for commercialization. We have Chattahoochee Tech here. We have Southern Polytech not far away. We have West Georgia in Carrollton. We have some awesome schools right here that our citizens and that our children attend here from Paulding County. My own child went to West Georgia and Chattahoochee Tech. Let's look beyond airports and aviation and maybe look at other things that would create jobs in a high-tech field with people that, and we can bring those into that industrial park at the airport. We don't have to have all aviation related. I thought that was the original plan, was to bring in an industrial park at the airport. And somehow that seems to have gotten lost. You've been elected to represent us. Can you give us the same consideration and sense of urgency that you did the military with Resolution 1408? Your job is to do the day-to-day operations of the county, not create jobs, build airports, or movie studios. Let the private sector do what it does best, and that's create jobs. Thank you.
That's the conclusion of our meeting. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session for litigation and personnel? Motion. Second. Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We will return to the floor. Thank you.